On a small island in the Hudson River stands a castle that was never meant to be lived in. It was built to store weapons, not people. At the height of its use, it was considered one of the largest private arsenals in the United States. And yet, within a few decades, it was abandoned. What remains today is not just stone and ruin, but a place surrounded by stories that never fully settled. To understand Bannerman Castle, we have to begin not with legends, but with a man, Francis Bannerman VI. He was born in Brooklyn in 1851, the son of Scottish immigrants, and from a young age he was surrounded by surplus. Not ordinary surplus, but weapons. After the American Civil War, the United States was flooded with excess military equipment, rifles, cannons, ammunition, uniforms, bayonets, explosives. Francis Bannerman saw opportunity where others saw leftovers. He began buying surplus weapons in bulk, selling them through mail-order catalogs to collectors, militias, and governments around the world. His business grew rapidly. Bannerman's catalogs became legendary. They were thick, dense, filled with illustrations of weapons most people had never seen. Customers could order cannons by mail, military uniforms from foreign wars, surplus rifles from conflicts long past. Governments purchased from him, police departments, private collectors. At its peak, Bannerman's company claimed to hold more military surplus than some national armies. This was not a small operation. It was an empire built on the remnants of war. By the late 19th century, Bannerman's operation had become massive. So massive that storing everything safely inside New York City became a serious problem. City officials were increasingly uneasy about large quantities of explosives stored near dense populations. Something had to change. In 1901, Bannerman purchased a small island in the Hudson River, known at the time as Polypel Island. It was remote, rocky, and surrounded by fast-moving water, perfect for isolation. Soon after, construction began. What rose from the island was not a traditional castle, but a fortified storage complex disguised in the romantic style of a medieval fortress. Thick stone walls, high towers, arched windows. Across the facade, Bannerman placed his name in bold letters. Bannerman's Island Arsenal. Inside the buildings were packed floor to ceiling with weapons and ammunition, rifles stacked by the thousands, crates of shells, powder stored in reinforced chambers. The castle was never meant to be elegant. It was meant to be secure. For decades, the operation ran without major incident. Barges transported goods up and down the Hudson. Workers came and went. The castle stood firm, but the danger was always there. Explosives do not remain stable forever. Powder absorbs moisture. Shell casings corrode. Wooden crates rot. Over time, even carefully stored ammunition becomes unpredictable. The Hudson River brought damp air, seasonal flooding, ice in winter, heat in summer. The island that protected the city also quietly increased the risk. In 1920, the inevitable happened. A massive explosion tore through the island. Residents along the Hudson felt their windows rattle. Some believed a ship had exploded. Others thought it was an earthquake. Smoke rose above the river, visible for miles. When officials arrived, they found entire sections of the arsenal gone. What had once been carefully organized storage was now chaos. The illusion of control had been shattered. It was heard for miles. Parts of the arsenal were destroyed instantly. Walls collapsed. Buildings were reduced to rubble. Miraculously, no one was killed. But the damage was severe and irreversible. The castle's never fully recovered. Francis Bannerman had already died 2 years earlier. Without his direct leadership and with the arsenal heavily damaged, the business declined. By the 1930s, the island was largely abandoned. Nature began to reclaim it. Stone cracked, roofs collapsed, vegetation crept into the walls. The castle slowly turned from a functioning arsenal into a ruin. In 1950, another disaster struck. A fire swept through the remaining structures, destroying what little remained inside. Whatever records were left, whatever artifacts had survived, were largely lost. From that point on, Bannerman Castle became something else entirely. A place without purpose, without caretakers, without clear documentation. Abandoned places invite interpretation. Without caretakers, without clear purpose, the human mind fills the silence. Islands amplify this effect. Water separates, distance distorts. Bannerman Castle was no longer seen up close. It was observed from afar, half hidden by mist and shadow. In such places, imagination often arrives before reason. Visitors passing the island by boat spoke of strange impressions, a sense of being watched, unexplained sounds echoing across the water. Caretakers and restoration volunteers have described hearing footsteps where no one was present. Others have reported voices carried on the wind only to disappear when approached. No evidence has ever confirmed these claims, but they persist. Some say the island feels wrong at dusk, that the air becomes heavier, that the ruins seem to hold something unseen. Again, these are stories, reported experiences, personal impressions, nothing more. What is certain is that Bannerman Castle exists in a rare space between history and imagination, a real structure built for a real and dangerous purpose, abandoned through accident, neglect, and time. Its isolation, its violent past, and its sudden decay make it fertile ground for mystery. Today, the island is owned by New York State. Limited tours are allowed. Restoration efforts continue in an attempt to preserve what remains. The castle will never be whole again, but it still stands, broken, silent, and watching the river pass by as it has for more than a century. Whether the stories surrounding Bannerman Castle are echoes of the past or simply the human mind filling in the gaps is impossible to say. What remains undeniable is that this place was never ordinary, and perhaps it never truly settled into silence.